Hot stove season's here, and we got a lot going on. Are the Cubs going to make a trade? Are they going to send Nico Horner out? Are they going to make a deal with the Dodgers for Seiya Suzuki? Those are things that are up in the air right now. But the Cubs did sign Carlos Perez as a insurance policy at the catcher spot. They laid off of Luzardo, and he was traded to the Phillies. And we're going to talk about the Cubs exceeding the luxury tax threshold back in 2024, last season. All that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and thumbs up. Thanks for hanging out with us. We love talking Cubs baseball. We appreciate all you guys for being a part of it. So let's do the thing that we all want to do. Let's get this show started. Go Cubs. What do you say, everybody? It's Mick Gillespie. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel, and it is always my pleasure to have you guys here hanging out with us as we talk Cubs baseball. So many different things going on right now, and I'm just kind of sitting back and I'm going, okay, when are we going to kind of get an idea of what's going to happen at third base? I mean, Bo Bichette, is he going to be the guy that ends up taking the hot corner over? Are they going to give it to Matt Shaw? We've kind of done some videos on that. We got a log jam in the outfield. Are they going to make a deal or two? And I think they will, as far as outfielders are concerned, because I don't think they have any other choice. Maybe that means Seiya Suzuki going somewhere. I just don't believe that the Cubs would trade Seiya Suzuki to the Dodgers. I just don't think that's going to happen. But they might. I mean, look, if they got the right package in return, maybe you make that deal. And other deals that you look at and you go, okay, what's going to help, what's not going to help, how are the Cubs going to be able to put themselves in position to have success, and what is that going to look like? So I'm going to get into why I don't think the Cubs are going to trade Suzuki on this show, but I want to start with the deal that was made, and it has nothing to do with the Cubs, and that is that Jesus Luzardo of the Marlins was traded to the Phillies, and that does not surprise me. I mean, look, you get a great left-handed pitcher. We saw what he could do a couple of years ago. He's a difference maker. And Bruce Levine kind of put a thing out last week. He's like that trade's dead, and he was right. Like, they didn't end up doing it. And so he ends up going to the Philadelphia Phillies, and maybe it's a better fit for him, and maybe for the Phillies. They get a couple guys back. The Phillies star prospect, their number 4th prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. They also get another guy that was the 23rd ranked prospect. They get some guys back. And that's what the Marlins want right now. They're bad. For the Phillies, they get a guy that they can look at and go, okay, yeah, we'll put this guy at the front of our rotation. And I feel like for the Cubs, if you're going to go out and add someone, go add someone in the rotation that you are guaranteed they're going to come in and make a difference. Castillo of the Mariners. Look, if they're willing to give him up, you go get him, right? I don't know that Luzardo, one way or the other, is going to make that much of an impact on this rotation. And part of it's just injuries. Look, if he's healthy, he's really good. But, he dealt with injuries last year. That's normally a sign pitching-wise. The guy's kind of back and forth. So, we'll find out. But this deal, to me, when I kept hearing people talking about it, I was like, I just don't know if this makes that much of a difference, in what the Cubs are trying to do, that they would say, okay, you know what? He's someone that's going to come in and make an immediate impact. And I don't feel like for this front office that they have a lot of time to be wasting on a guy that they're not 100% sure about. So it was a coin flip. The Phillies took that coin flip. The Cubs didn't. I'm not that disappointed in it. Now, the Cubs did make a deal. They signed Carlos Perez as a backup catcher. So, when they went out and they got they went out and made a deal for Carson Kelly, and that made Matt Theus, did I say that right? Yeah. that made him expendable. So they go ahead and trade him, right? And now you need kind of that third catcher. You got Miguel Amaya there. Matt Theis. Yeah, I got that right this time. Yeah, Matt Theis. They say trade him over. So now you got to find someone else. And that's exactly what they did with, with the guy that they just got here in this deal, right? So Cubs get him. He's a 34-year-old big leaguer. You want guys that can come in and catch. I mean, you really do, right? So Athletic, Angels, Braves, Rangers, not a big hitter, but a guy who can make a difference behind the plate in Perez. These are the guys that you put in AAA, and when you need somebody, you can jump in and go, hey, you know what? The guy can come up and hit. He hit bat at 218 and 278 games in 5 seasons, right? He's not going to come in and embarrass you if you need somebody. This is a great insurance policy. He's a kind of a 4A player. You get him. And, and that's exactly what the Cubs wanted. So, it is what it is. I mean, this is a blockbuster. By no means is it, but it does give you some depth. And when you look at the Cubs organization, catching is very thin. Moises Ballesteros is their top-rated catcher, and he's a hitter. He's not even a catcher. So he's got to get better behind the plate to put them in position to be able to put him in the game and have success from him. So, he's got to get better defensively. He's a much better hitter than Perez, but Perez has big league experience and can make a difference. So, I'm guessing that this is kind of a move that you're looking at and you're going, but I'll tell you what, there was a year, what was it, like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago where the Cubs didn't have any catchers and they kept they were trying to find different guys just to come up because everyone kept getting hurt. You got to have depth in this position. It's one of the most important positions on the field, and Perez gives you that. So there you go. All right, Cubs exceed luxury tax threshold in 2024. This is why I feel like if I'm like the owner of the Cubs, Tom Ricketts, I'm not real happy with being over this. All right, so here are the teams that were ahead of the Cubs in 2024. The Dodgers way ahead. They won the World Series. The Mets way ahead of the Cubs as far as over the luxury tax, but they made the playoffs. They made a run at it. Then the Yankees, they were in the World Series, right? The Phillies were pushing for the World Series. The Braves won the World Series a few years ago, and they were a contender last year. The Rangers won the World Series a couple of years ago. The Astros were behind them. They won the World Series a few, 3 or 4 years ago. They're fresh off a World Series. They're always a contender. Then the Giants, who a few years ago made a run, but obviously they didn't win anything. And then the Cubs. So when I look at these teams, I'm going, I know the Cubs are way off at $570,000 over when you compare it to $103 million over by the Dodgers, but the Dodgers won the World Series, right? So I think that this is one of the reasons why that the Cubs are kind of hesitant to give Jed Hoyer the reins to go out and go way over the cap. If you go way over the cap and you win, then you're like, hey man, you know what? We won. You go way over that cap, but you're also a star draw in Japan with Ohtani. You're a World Series champion. You got all the interest that you have. And the Dodgers are set up to win a few more here. I mean, they've been on the doorstep, but now they're kind of past that. So I don't even look at the Cubs in the same realm as these teams. I mean, the Cubs, to me, weren't in it last year. They barely got over 500. A couple of years ago, they were fighting for the last wild card spot. They didn't get it. I never looked at that team and said, hey, this is a World Series champion team. So I feel like either go in or go all out. And the Cubs are kind of in that gray area where it's like, wow, we're kind of there, but we're not. And to me, that's not a great place to be. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, and that's why one of the reasons that there's a lot of restrictions on what they're doing right now financially, and that eventually for them to kind of get over where you're more comfortable spending money, they've got to be a team that is really contending for a World Series, and I don't feel like that's where they are right now. All right, I wanted to say this, kind of getting into the main thought of this show, is that I don't really feel like it makes sense for the Cubs to trade away Seiya Suzuki. I don't think that's what's going to happen now, unless you get the right deal. But this isn't a Bellinger situation where you're going to give him away. You look at Suzuki's numbers for the Cubs over the last 3 seasons since he was signed from Japan, and he's been really good. He's averaged a 278 average, a 354 on base percentage. He's hit an average of 23 home runs a season, including 21 last year, which is his most productive as a big leaguer. And he drives in runs. Like, he's averaging about 82 runs knocked in per season. He steals some bases. The problem that we've had is that he isn't great defensively. He's adequate, but he's not great. And also now you got Kyle Tucker. But to me, I think if you're creative at the manager spot, and I know that Craig Counsell can do it, you'll figure a way out to do this, whether it's Tucker DHing, Suzuki DHing, mixing those guys up. People get hurt. If the Cubs are going to give up Suzuki, who to me is one of their best players, they have to get production back, right? This team isn't in a spot where you go and get minor leaguers and, you cross your fingers that these guys are going to develop. You have to go get someone else that can produce. And I'm sure the Dodgers are like, hey, what do you want? But they're not going to give you anything that is going to make a difference on your roster, you wouldn't think. You're not going to get the Mookie Betts, the Freddie Freemans, the Shohei Ohtanis, and Suzuki is, although he's not in that caliber, he's not that far off either when you look at his statistics. When he's healthy, he's one of the best Cubs players. To me, I think the biggest thing is getting him in as many games as he played in 2023, where he played 138 games. Last year 132, dealt with some injuries. But the bottom line is this: when he started the season last year, we saw exactly what he can do. Cubs got him signed. He's got a no-trade clause. I wouldn't give this guy away. If you're getting the right package back, maybe you trade him, but you got to get the right package back. And I get it. Like, the situation with the outfielders, with all the guys you have in the minor leagues, and then the no-trade clause and the guys that have spots, it's tough. But at the same time, you just figure out a place to play this guy and let him get in the lineup every day and hit. And I think that's probably exactly what's going to happen for this team. All right, another show in the books. Love you guys. I hope you're having a great holiday season. Whether you're celebrating Hanukkah, whether you're celebrating Christmas, happy holidays to everyone. And thank you. Get in the comments section. Reading the comments is like my Christmas gift. I love hearing from you guys, and I appreciate you so much for being part of what we do here at the Cubs Baseball channel. So like, subscribe, thumbs up, share with your friends. And again, I appreciate you so much for being part of what we do, and go Cubs.